All right, third grade. So we're going to be working on a place to remember. So at this point, you should have picked what you want to work on. In this painting, you really need to be thinking about the climate of your landmark, where it's actually located, and what that actually means. So if it's in the desert, so maybe something from ancient Egypt or an Egyptian landmark, like a pyramid, is there going to be desert around? What colors does that mean? Does it mean there's going to be green grass, or does it mean there's going to be brown desert? Is it in the middle of a city, or in the middle of a grassy field, in the middle of the ocean? So just really think about the landmark and where it is. So this is my landmark. It's in St. Petersburg, in Russia. So I am going to actually paint my sky and then my ground line. It's important that you figure out if your landmark needs to be horizontal or vertical. For me, I'm going to do a vertical landmark. So what's actually going to happen is you are going to use chalk to be drawing everything. So you're not going to use a pencil, because chalk you can actually rub out and erase. So you're going to divide your paper into 3 equal sections. So just kind of guess. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that's actually going to be where your ground line is. So this is my ground line. You can have multiple ground lines if need be, if like it's hills or mountains or whatnot, but start with your ground line. Ground will be 1/3 of your picture, and sky will be 2/3. So we're going to come around and pour paint directly on your paper. We're not perfect, so it might be a little bit more than you need, might be a little bit less than you need, but we're going to come around and pour paint. If you want it to be during the night, let us know, and we won't do as much white, or we won't include white at all. Okay, so mine's going to obviously be during the day. I'm going to go over my chalk line. I'm going to try to take as much as I can. Overlapping my chalk line. It doesn't have to be perfect. But the thing that I really want to focus on is painting in my whole sky and making sure that all of my paper is covered up. So I don't want any of that gray paper showing through to the actual color of the paper. I want to make sure it's completely covered, in paint. So if you notice, I didn't put enough paint on because I can't finish painting that over there, so put some more on. And I didn't put it down in a straight line because it allows me to get a variation of color, which is sometimes nice for a background. You don't want to try to mix all your colors together so they're perfect. You want just kind of like the color to mix, to not be perfect. Okay, so I didn't mix everything together. There's a kind of a blending of white and blues. If it's windy, you can kind of do some like swirls, swirls like this, whatever, to show your background. If it's more calm, you can do kind of straight across. So whatever you need to do for your picture. I'm going to add a tiny bit more blue to my picture. So you do like 2 dots, 3. So I want just a little bit more color variation because I kind of wiped a lot of mine out. Okay, so that's going to be the end product for me for my sky. Make sure you're washing your big paintbrush out. Notice this is like a 3-inch paintbrush, so your sky will be painted really quickly. Okay, so painting your ground. Here's where you really need to be thinking about where your building is located. Sorry, I'm trying to blot off my stuff. Okay, so with a clean paintbrush, you're now going to be painting your ground. Mine is located in the middle of the city. So I'm not going to have a lot of grass. So I might do like a strip of grass in the back. So doing like multiple ground lines. So maybe, that's grass, but the rest of that's gray. So take my paint, and that's what I'm going to paint. So like this. Maybe there's some grass here. That. And I'm mixing just a little bit of yellow and green together to get kind of a little bit of a variation in that color, so it's not all exactly the same. And there's a little bit of that, and maybe I can use some of my painting techniques. Trying to find my painting technique paper for you guys. So maybe I can use some of that dry brush painting technique to kind of pull up some of that color so it kind of looks like a little bit of grass. So just using a dry brush to kind of angle it. Okay, so I get a little bit more variation. I'm going to actually go all the way through that grass area, make it kind of look consistent. Okay, so that's it for my grass. And then I'm going to wash out my paintbrush. And again, mine is in a city. There really wasn't that much grass. And now I'm going to overlap some gray because there's a lot of cobblestones in my picture. So I'm going to, gray, again, is just white and black mixed together. So take that. And if you have a large area that you're going to be painting in with the same color, you are by far more than welcome to use one of the large paintbrushes. So I'm going to paint that in. And remembering that when something is further away, it's darker. So I'm actually going to do what's called blending, where I'm mixing two colors together. So taking that wet color and taking the darker black, and I'm going to slowly start to mix it down. I take a lighter gray, I kind of mix it on top. So just like when I was mixing those colors in the sky, I'm not going to put all of one color covering the other color because I still want to show that variation of color. And then maybe I'm going to show some more white. Again, as things get closer to you, they get lighter because it has more light that you can actually see. Okay, and I might actually want to come back while my paint is still wet and show some of that texture of how there's stones. So I'm just using a dabbing technique where I'm pressing down. Some more white. Where I'm pressing down and lifting up to show that stony texture. Overlapping it. So it really starts to look like it's kind of old. It's been there for a while. Like it's not brand new. And you can definitely do this all with the same paintbrush without having to wash it out. Okay, so definitely doing some color variation. Okay, so this is my background. Notice it took me all of a couple minutes to do. Your background should not take you very long to paint. So if you have any questions, let me know.